So, I just decided to do a random video message right now. There have been a fair amount of people that have come into my life over the last couple years. People I loved and still love very much. There's a lot of bad things that happened. There's a lot of ways that they attacked me. The energy I have and I brought into your life was never meant to take your power. I wasn't trying to take nobody's power. I'm just trying to be able to stand in mine without others feeling like there is a problem with me doing so. If you get to stand in your power, why can't I? Ask yourself that if you're trying to knock people down a peg around you. Why are they not allowed to stand in their power? Why should you be allowed to stand in your power if they can't? The reason that some of those people lost their power had nothing to do with me. It had to do with the actions they chose to take in abusing that power that I gave to them. That beautiful, unconditional love, that trust, that leap of faith, that giving you a chance. Even though maybe everyone has thought for a long time that you're a lost cause, that you're never going to make it out of your shit, that there's nothing anybody can do because you are eternally fucked up, that nothing would ever change because people don't change anyway, right? I do. I change all the time. As I was telling somebody this morning, if somebody leaves and comes back a couple months later, or wow, a couple years later, we wouldn't know each other at all. I know some people don't change as rapidly as I do, but within a couple months or a couple years, there are some changes. It's kind of like having to renew yourselves and your connection because everybody's a bit different. Everybody has grown on their own separate journey, and then they come back together and they're like, whoa, look at this new person standing in front of me. So yes, people do change. Their core values a lot of times don't. Sometimes they do shift and change. Sometimes a core value that we thought was so important to us for so long, sometimes that core value changes. Like my view on the song To Catch a Predator is coming to mind right now. 333 was on the clock. We are very protected at this time. This is a very valid learning moment. This is a moment that is going to help us to overcome and conquer the challenges and obstacles we're facing. And we are very protected in this journey we're taking to do that, to learn, to grow. You may be going through the school of life right now. Some of you might be in actual school too, but a lot of you are going to be going through the school of life right now. Some of you to become better healers, to be able to understand the people that you're dealing with more so that you can be more effective in what it is that you're doing. So you can come to terms with certain things or understandings, so you can lose some of the judgments or predispositions that might have been put in there from this earth and the worldly view that we have here, and shifting those things to a higher perspective. So some of you could be those lost causes. Maybe you even felt like, since I walked away from the situation, I thought you were a lost cause. Oh, no, never. I wouldn't have taken the time, effort, and energy to put on you if I didn't believe there was a reason to put it there. Sometimes people are only meant to be in each other's lives for a short time. Sometimes baby birds need to be pushed out of nests so that they can trust their wings to fly, because they may not do it on their own. So the mom will nudge them out of the nest. And then they're like, oh, 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 ah, I caught myself. Whoa. The mom believed in them. She believed in them when she shoved them out of there. You really think she wanted to shove them out of there to their death? Some mothers, yes. Some mothers, yes. But most mothers, if they're a good mother and not one that is trying to keep you feeling like you could never survive without them, which was one of those chains that I had to break from my mother. There was a couple times I caught myself saying something similar to something she had said to me as a kid. And I was like, nope, 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 not going to do that. Find a different way. Took me a little bit on one particular one. When you don't feel like people are showing gratitude or recognition for you, when you don't think that people see your value or your worth, it's really hard sometimes to deal with. Especially when you work so hard to help others, to go out of your way, to be around people that most people wouldn't want to be around, or people that most people have decided this is a lost cause. Anyone who tries to come over here and poke this wasp's nest deserves whatever they get, and they shouldn't have been there in the first place. Kind of like the way that they used to deal with molestation back in the day, where it was like, oh, this is the weird uncle, or this is the weird guy around the corner. Don't ever go around them. And if you decided to go around them, we didn't even tell you what was going to happen. Now you're curious because you're like, oh, why can't we go around them? Why can't we go around them? Haha, let's go check it out. So, those might be some of the people that you work with. Where are the earth angels needed the most? Where are the light workers needed the most? Where are the healers needed the most? Where are the words of wisdom, inspiration, hope, faith, joy, positivity? Where are the words of learning and growth? Where is the shocking changes of perception and tower moments needed the most in this world? In the darkest places, in the darkest of night, that beautiful North Star is there to guide. You're not in sun. You're not doing this in sunlight. Everything around you is not going to be rainbows and sunshine all the time. That doesn't mean some things can't be, which is why you should definitely make sure that you have a sacred space of some sort that is yours, that you can evacuate to, that you can have some privacy in, that you can have some time and space for you to take care of you and your energy and what you've got going on. And also making sure that you have good boundaries with people so that they understand that there is a lot of energy that it takes to be able to do the things that you do. Some will understand, recognize, and, appreciate. Others will deny. They will scapegoat. They will lie. They will try to accuse you of hurting them in some way, or they will try to accuse you of taking advantage of them in some sort of way. They will try to do anything and everything to get out of giving back in some sort of way for whatever you're giving them. Some of them might try to sneak in and steal the wisdom you have in some sort of way, instead of just coming to you and being like, hey, you do this pretty well. It would be awesome if you could show me how to. Maybe there's something that I got that I can show you how. A lot of them don't have confidence to feel like they have anything that you would want to offer you. And a lot of them don't have money. Maybe they have something to trade, which is great, you know? A lot of these people are being drawn to you so they can learn how to do that. What's coming to mind right now is lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, boy. It won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. So call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Don't let your pride get in the way. Also, when you're seeing those things in others, remember to look inside of you and see if those things are still there or have been there at some point. Because in order to see them, you have to know them. In order to understand it. A lot of transformation and transformative energy has come from you. Sometimes you may feel like you bring death everywhere you go. But with death, life follows. Every death brings new life in some way, like the circle of life explained in The Lion King. Sometimes it can get very hard to stay in an energy of faith, trust, love, peace, hope, happiness, and joy. And nobody is meant to 24/7. There are going to be those days that you have some despair going on, some pain, anxiety, depression, hurt. When we have big emotions, we have big emotions. Anger, it encompasses the whole spectrum. Don't deny that you have all the shadow sides of those emotions too. Those come along with that big, beautiful, giant, enormous heart. Some days you do better at being able to, deal with things. Sometimes you might overwork yourself a little bit, or you might be around a bit too many energies at once. Might overestimate yourself a bit or underestimate yourself a bit. Sometimes there might be a lot of spiritual warfare coming your way from people. People who are not using their energies in a high vibrational manner, but are using them in a distorted, low vibrational manner to lash out and attack you because they feel like you have somehow wronged them and they're looking for revenge or vigilante justice or whatever the case may be. Sometimes those people don't even notice that even while they're doing that, you're praying for them. You're sending them healing love and healing energy. You're deciding that they're still not a lost soul. And maybe there is a hope left for this person. And if there isn't, their maker's going to have to decide that. Because you don't want the responsibility. And because you were made to believe. You were made to believe so other people could follow your voice and find that faith inside of them too, and learn how to believe. like the imaginary dinner scene on Hook. When you come into situations, they're not always going to be perfect, and in fact, as who you are, most of them are going to be extremely messy. And now think about it for a minute too. If you think about the concept of yin and yang, or male and female, or positive and negative, opposites attract and they make the best fit. That's because you guys have differing viewpoints, you have differing perspectives, you each have different things that you can add to the equation. And having those different skill sets, those different likes and dislikes, those different interests, those different things that you have cultivated and grown into something. Like, say somebody who's an artist and, very free-spirited, very free-flowing and very hippie-like, and, love drawing and painting and maybe even taking photos or things like that. But God, when it comes to technology, holy cow, you may have a very big problem. So say somebody else is into computers and video games, cinematography, editing, grooming. Anyway, somebody's very analytical, logical, grounded, stable. These two energies go very well together, and they also kind of rub off on each other so that you guys can learn a lot from each other. You guys start making compromises with each other, which adds a little bit extra of each into the other. It builds your skills and your strengths as a person. Sometimes it even allows you to be able to embody those aspects inside of yourself and them to do the same in themselves, to see them in themselves. Like the beautiful light that you present into this darkness. Because you went, oh, I see a spark of light. There's a spark of light right there. It's just like me, that little spark of light. And they went, ooh, there's that little spark of dark. It's right there. That's it. Or you went, wow, there is that dark. And I don't want nothing to do with that because it is so different from me. I don't know what's in there. And the other person went, oh my God, that light is blinding and it's bright and it's going to shine a light on everything I got going on in here that I don't want anybody to see. That can't be around me. Or, oh, you think you're so perfect over there with your beautiful glowing light. And the other person's going, okay, you just want everybody to be miserable over there with your miserable little air that you're carrying around with you. Well, sometimes it's just nice to have somebody accept the thorns you got going on and be like, it's okay. If you're not feeling 100% today, it's okay if you're feeling a little overwhelmed. If you're feeling a little crazy, anxious, depressed, scared, lonely, hurt. If you're dealing with some scars and some trauma and some wounds today, or if you've picked up on a lot of energies from others today and you're having a hard time cleansing it, and you're having a hard time releasing it and transmuting it, and maybe today it affected your emotions a little bit more than normal, I'm okay with that. Let's cuddle, and I'll just hold you. Or the person going through that is able to go, you know what? I could really use some cuddles today. I could really use a light in my life today, because today my light ain't shining so bright. Sunflowers face each other when there's no sun, so they can provide that sun to each other. That's what the healers of the world are doing. And it's not always pretty. And healers aren't always in that bright, high vibrational, beautiful light. Every next step, every next level up, every next ascension, we visit that darkness again. Every year, once a year, we go into winter again. The darkest part of the year, the coldest part of the year, the part of the year where we're inside getting cozy and relaxing around the fire, telling stories, eating food, watching movies, sleeping late for some people, coming home early, doing less, just allowing ourselves to be more passive, allowing ourselves to have that break and take that rest. And then when it's light again and the spring's coming out and all the flowers are growing back and all the life is coming to the earth and we're coming back out, we're rested and replenished and we're feeling good and we can spread life everywhere we go. So remember to take care of you. And remember that sometimes when you're seeing somebody in hurt and pain, the past hurt and pain that others have caused you can cause you to see them in the same light. And sometimes, yes, it is very true. But just because others weren't looking to heal and grow and learn and overcome doesn't mean these people may not have been. These people might be ready. And even if they aren't, maybe you were still supposed to be there for a minute to get it triggered, and somebody else might be coming along later to help push it along. I could definitely be something too. All of those things are things to remember and to consider when you are choosing to do this. The fact that a lot of times the crown that you bear is a very, very heavy burden. Don't let it weigh you down. Don't let it cause you migraines. Don't let it cause your back to feel like it's breaking. Don't let it get inside you and poison your heart. And at the same time, know that those dark days that you have are an important part of your journey, just the same as those people you run across that are in that dark energy in those moments. And sometimes the thing that brings them back to life is realizing that somebody saw them and felt it was worth it to reach down and water that plant instead of just walking by and deciding that plant didn't matter, because that plant wasn't going to be anything great anyway. Look at people and the way they feel about dandelions. First off, I loved when my kids brought me dandelions, but then again, I've always loved dandelions anyway. I used to draw on my arm with them when I was a kid, and I've done it a few times as an adult with my kids too, even when they were a bit older. Besides, yellow's for positivity and joy, happiness. Maybe it'll help you with that. Pretty sure that's part of what the tea helps with. Dandelion tea or dandelion roots in your salad. Even the greens. And even the flower, yes. Very healthy for you. Very medicinal. A plant worthy of being in a yard. To some people. To some people, they use those plants for their medicinal property. They're very easy to grow, and they will multiply all over the place. And when you can have something like that medicine in your yard, I don't think a perfectly manicured lawn that looks good from the outside but offers no value, no real value underneath the surface, is going to be quite as much of a priority to water, it's amazing sometimes the things that people choose to give value to and the things that they choose to take value away from. A lot of weeds are strong medicines. Strong medicines that we poison and kill and remove from our yard, from the home they're living in. I know that probably sounds a little nuts, but they're living too. So, another song. You think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. But I know every rock and tree and creature has a spirit, has a life, has a name. You think the only people who are people are the people who look and think like you. But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, you'll learn things you never knew. Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon? Or ask the grinning bobcat why he grinned? Can you paint with all the colors? Oh, can you sing with all the voices of the mountain? And can you paint with all the colors of the wind? There's gotta be a mess up somewhere, right? We're all people and we're all living beings. Just because you may not see value in this being doesn't mean someone else won't. And that person might come along and nurture and grow something very valuable and beautiful out of it. And vice versa. Just because somebody didn't see something valuable and worth nurturing in you doesn't mean that somebody else couldn't come along and see that. Just because certain people couldn't accept parts of themselves and be okay with it, which means they can't accept parts of you and be okay with it. Or just because you haven't been able to do that in certain circumstances doesn't mean others won't. So if you can't do it in every circumstance, there's no reason to feel ashamed about that either. Hard, long lesson on that one there for me. Right now, you are transmuting out, a lot of you, some pretty severe dark night of the soul energy. Facing those demons, facing those shadows, looking them dead in the eye and telling them, I will win. I will overcome. This will not tear me down any more than anything else ever has. Because here I am. You may even be, some of you, at peace if it does. Not necessarily tear you down, but some of you could be dealing with some pretty heavy spiritual warfare, and it may be very hard at times to keep that faith lit up and that light burning inside. Don't let your little light go out. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. It's time to let you shine, and it's time to let everyone else shine. And it's time to notice, see, and appreciate that shine when you do. But also to notice and appreciate that shadow and go, oh, hey, I got a lantern over here. Let's see if this lantern can light up your shadow. And if we can see what's going on with your light so we can get it fixed. And you can have a fresh new bulb to carry on with. Fresh new burst of energy. It doesn't make somebody an energy vampire to accept the healing energy you bring in. And if you aren't the one that can bring this healing energy in, and you feel like it's too much for you, be humble enough to say, hey, I may not be the right one to help you with this, but maybe we can find you somebody who is the right one. Maybe we can start researching some stuff together and see what we can come up with. Maybe there's some new things we can come up with, or maybe there's certain people or certain practices, certain stories that might help. Maybe even remind them that the universe will bring those things to them to help them through it if they look for them, if they pay attention to them. But you also got to look for the other side of that. Because as you're receiving those messages of truth, which are not always pretty, but are generally a lot more calm and peaceful feeling, like acceptance. Like, oh yeah, this is the way this is, and that's okay. And just being able to let it go. But there may also be other things that come in, one right after the next, after the next, after the next. Things that bring a lot of dread, fear, anxiety, overthinking. Shut it all off. You've been thinking about it too much and too long, and it's time to give your brain a break. It's time to give you a break, and it's time to stop being so hard on yourself and feeling like you need to be there now. It's time to feel like it's okay to take my time. It's okay to be patient. And it's okay to put this away for today, and I can readdress it tomorrow or next week on my day off. Because right now, I need some me time for rest and relaxation, and it's not always so easy to shut that brain off when you're going through that either. I get that completely. Sometimes it's extremely hard to get that overthinking that's running through your brain at a constant down to a dull roar, even, let alone actually eliminating it. Especially when you are around people that are in lower vibrational energies. Depending on how mired in darkness they are, it can really trigger and affect a lot of things inside of you. As you are giving light, the energy that they have to give back is dark. But dark has important things too, because there are things in your shadows that you may need to be seeing, addressing, working on. Why is this situation making me feel this way? Is it something real? Is it something that can be affected by my beliefs and my manifestation abilities? Am I going to be causing this situation to be worse than it is by being in these low vibrations over here that are creeping in? Or am I going to choose to go, wait a second, I know what this is. I have seen this before, and sometimes it takes facing certain ones several times before you actually go, wait a second, I've seen this before. I know how to deal with this. This one's easy. I got this one. Sometimes it might be a little bit harder and more challenging. Sometimes it might be ones that you didn't even realize were still there, buried so deeply down inside of you that when they came up, they may have been very shocking, may have thrown you off guard, off kilter, off balance, made you feel like a failure even at times for not being able to heal this long ago, for not being able to see this long ago. Maybe even for some of the actions you took long ago. Some of the actions that you took that many of you never would decide to take again. If you decided you didn't want to be that person anymore because you didn't like what you were seeing and you wanted to be able to improve the reflection of the person standing in front of you so that you could love it even more, and you put in that hard time, that effort, that work, and that energy to do that, fuck, you're amazing. Some people have bigger shadows than others. Some people have bigger demons going on than others. Some people have worse things that they have done while they're in that shadow. But who knows what we may have done when we were standing in their very same shoes. 35:44 was just on the clock. If we were standing in their very same shoes, which we have no idea where their shoes were at in that place and time, or what was going on in that situation, we don't know whether or not, if we were them, we would have acted in that same way, or if we would have been able to take the high road on that. And a lot of times it took taking a lot of low roads before we learned to take that high road, before we learned to release and let go and forgive and be okay with things as they are, and not trying so hard to control them or shift them or change them, or feeling like you're responsible for everything around you all the time, and making sure that everything's running smoothly all the time, or that everybody's happy all the time, and that, regulating yourself to regulate other people's emotions, which can definitely be something that many empaths do. But in some ways, that is still trying to control the situation. And it's also trying to take responsibility, liability, and it's trying to take responsibility and liability out of the hands of those who are responsible for their own emotions. If you feel like you have done something that's not okay, it is okay to feel like that and then still feel like this person overreacted, or to feel like this person did something that wasn't okay too. Two wrongs don't make a right, right? And vice versa. It's okay for them to go, hey, I might have done you wrong, but you did me wrong too. And sometimes, in order to fix situations, and in order for those people to be able to heal fully, for them to be able to get back to the true roots that they have inside and bring those up and out again, in order for that sunlight to penetrate those leaves, sometimes that pride has to be swallowed and sacrificed. That anger has to be sacrificed. The judgment, the belief that anything that's different is evil, the anger and aggression and defensiveness against others for having a different opinion or belief than you, sometimes that has to go out the window. Because sometimes it's time to look at things from a higher perspective. And that higher perspective says that we are all one. We are all love in some way. We all deserve love in some way. And when people, as a whole, or any other life form on this planet, does not get that love it deserves, that kindness, that gentleness, that caring energy, that beauty and that peacefulness and that hope, when it's starved of it for such a long time that it doesn't even know it exists anymore, when it pops up in front of its face, it's gonna be like, why? What do you want from me? Excuse me, what do you got up your sleeve, you little magician? What are you bringing my way? What chaos magic is this? A lady stopped to offer me a coat this morning. It's been a long time in this town since anybody's really offered me anything at all in my position. Probably because most of them are just busy going, oh, she's just lazy and not doing anything. And other ones are going, oh, she's a drug addict. Oh, she's selling herself. Oh, she's stabbing her exes in the eye with forks. Fuck. The crazy shit people can come up with when they're gossiping about you when they don't even know nothing about you. They don't even know who you are. It would be nice if they came up and went, hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. It'd be nice to know a little bit about you. Instead of just looking from the outside and thinking they know everything. And I've done it at times too. But so have you. When you see that person mired in darkness and misery and you're like, oh, I don't want to go anywhere near that. You had an opportunity that day. An opportunity to sit down and give a smile to the person sitting next to you on the bench. Or to stop and let the person on their knees on the floor stocking groceries onto the shelf know that you know they exist and they're alive. You see them and they are not invisible. They are not alone. There is life on this planet. Send me some sign of life. Some sign that I'm not alone. I think that song may be called Raven. Sending out a message of feather and bone. What has come and passed. What was once useful and is no longer useful. We come across these things regularly. These transitions, these shifts, these changes, this growth. So have compassion for where other people are at and what their beliefs are. Respect as well. For yourself and for them in their beliefs. It may not always be the right beliefs, but how is anybody supposed to make first off, how do we know who's right? Some of them, yes. There's some that are very obvious, but even then, how are you supposed to make those changes in this world? How are you supposed to whisper into the minds of those people that are stuck in that way of thinking that may be very distorted if you hate them for that way of thinking? If you hate them for that way of thinking and you're busy attacking them and lashing out at them, feeling like you have to prove your point or defend your stance with your life, feeling like you need the validation that you're right, instead of just knowing this is what I believe. And if you don't believe it, that's fine. I got a perspective to share with you. You might gain something from it, or you might disagree with it completely, and that's fine. You shared your opinion, I'd like to share mine. Everybody has a right to share their opinion. You draw more flies with honey than vinegar. Technically, okay, you draw more bees with honey than vinegar, I'm going to say. Because you know what? Vinegar might draw flies. I don't know. I know trash would, and trash ain't so sweet. But anyway, there was one time with my father-in-law. I was telling this story to somebody recently. There was one time with my father-in-law where he was talking about, he was very self-righteous and Christian and judgmental. I didn't even know till like 2 years before he died that he was actually married before his wife. Everybody made it seem like he was the one that they had to stay married forever because of his Christianness. So everybody kind of made it seem, I think he was blamed for more things than he needed to be in some situations. And in other situations, I think she was blamed for more things than she needed to be. I think the views and perceptions of people as you go through time change, shift, and morph into new understandings too. So anyway, we're discussing the Bible, and we're discussing how he's discussing how wrong it is for somebody to steal. That is not okay. I think one of their nieces, I think one of my ex's nieces got caught stealing or something, or one of their friends, or I don't remember exactly what it was, but somebody got caught stealing. And he was talking about how horrible and awful it is, how much of a sin it is, how nobody should ever do that. Which, yes, I do understand where you're coming from. And when my girls and their friends decided when they were younger they were going to go over to the Family Dollar store and take 10 packages of fake nails, don't ask me why. There was 4 of them too. So they got 2 packages each and then 2 extra packages. Who knows? They decided to get 10 packages of fake nails. And they got caught. And they got put on the "you are not allowed in this store without adult supervision with you at all times" list for like 2 years. Not only did they get that, when they came home, I told them, you can go to jail for doing that. They may not arrest you now, especially since it's the first time, but you can go to jail for doing that. I don't want to see you go to jail. I don't want you to have to be in jail. And I know you don't want to have to be in jail. So, you can't be stealing things from the store. It is not okay. And I had them spend 2 weeks in their room. They ate every meal in there. And I think some nights they came out to eat dinner in the living room. We didn't have the TV on during it. They had a chore list to keep up on. And they had to keep their room clean and organized while they were in there. And if they were arguing and fighting, and I had to warn them more than once about it, they were getting another day added. I think they got 3 extra days added, so they ended up spending 2 weeks and 3 days in there. And actually, I think they were being extremely good towards the end of the 2 weeks. So I decided, you know what, we're just going to cut off these 3 days. I think that's how it ended up going down. I did that because when I was a kid, I remember stealing. The first thing I stole when I was like 5 years old, it was like a 10-cent candy. And they caught me right away. My sister's like, you can't be doing that. We shop in this store all the time. It was all about appearances more than anything else, really. Not wanting people to think we were thieves. I don't know. But, moving along, I looked at him. And I was like, so you're telling me your God, I didn't say your God, I said God. God has given this woman and this man this beautiful gift, this beautiful being, this beautiful baby, right in front of them, to cherish, to love, to take care of, to nurture, to feed, to grow, to provide for. And we're sitting in the middle of an economic depression or something. Or they can't find work. Or their house just burned down. Or whatever the case may be. And they decided to go into the store and steal food to feed themselves and feed this child. because they felt like that was the only way to be able to provide for this life that was in their care that they are responsible for. And maybe there is a lot of people who used, abused, and took advantage of them along the way in their desperate situation, or told them they were leeches just looking to steal from them when they were just needing a bit of help or assistance. But everybody's so afraid to give that helping hand sometimes because we're not supposed to be around strangers because, whatever other thousands of reasons or excuses people can come up with for why they can't feed the stray cats. Because we can't feed all the cats of the world, we can't do that. Depends on how much you believe. Faith the size of a mustard seed can manifest so much. And yeah, some people are going, yeah, but they should be turning to faith. Yeah, but why are you so self-righteous? Have you always turned to faith? Have you never had a problem? Have you never made a mistake? Have you never sinned? Because in the Bible, when Jesus was talking to those people who were looking down on the whore, who were treating her like filth beneath their feet because of her disgusting, dirty, impure soul, he said, those of you with no sins, cast the first stone. Not one did, because they all know they have their own, even if theirs aren't so visible. I was like, so when that is going on and she goes in there or he goes in there to steal that food for their baby, to make sure their baby eats tonight and stays alive, did you ever stop to consider or think? Maybe they didn't get caught because he was watching out for them and protecting them the same way they were doing for that baby. Or maybe the cop that got called decided to buy those groceries for them instead of arresting them and convince the store manager not to press charges because he felt like they needed a chance and a lift up at this moment in time in their lives. And maybe that particular earth angel at that particular moment was sent to that space to help this person for that reason. So this person could provide for their baby and maybe even do it in a way that they don't have to feel like they're signing their soul over by shoplifting. Because some people really do believe, oh, I stole, I'm going to go to hell now. I'm going to burn in a fiery pit because I was hungry and there was food on the shelf. What about the ones that are standing guard over that food and not feeding the ones that are hungry, but would rather throw it away in the trash can? There's those too, which is why there are those who feel like they need to steal it, because a lot of times nobody's going to give it to them because they didn't work for it. They should have to work for it like the rest of us. We all have to work for it. Well, some of us sometimes have a harder time with that, especially if we lived in a very chaotic lifestyle, or if there was a lot of addiction stuff going on in our home as children, or abuse stuff going on in our home as children, or if we never really had any money at all, or if, say, a parent had a gambling addiction, or say a parent had a severe feeling of lack all the time, like the sky is falling all the time and we never have enough, never have enough, never have enough. And so you never feel like you can ask for anything at all. And so you decide, I'm going to go get it. And maybe you don't have the time to go get work. Maybe you're busy at home raising your younger brother and sister while your mom's busy going to work and school at the same time and running them back and forth to school. And maybe sometimes you just wanted something that time. Doesn't make it right. But you know, it happens. I did a fair amount of shoplifting when I was younger. The last 3 years I've lived on the street, I have not at all. Because I decided to place it in faith instead. Not everybody knows how to do that. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody's at the level of doing that. Not everybody even knows what that is. And not many people, there's a lot more of them these days, but not many people believe in magic. And actually, the people who believe that religion a lot of times squash that magic. It's 55-55. But that's transforming, changing. People are learning, growing. They're really understanding things differently these days. And that is being squashed. That's exactly what faith is. It's magic. It's a belief so strong in something, and an intention so strong in something, and a prayer so strong for something, that it brings it into being. Just like Jesus says, with faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. I know I'm not always the most polite when it comes to the Christian religion. But just like any other religion, there's a lot of wisdom to be found in there. There's a lot of negatives to be found in there too. And a lot of things I don't believe in. And a lot of contradictions where it constantly goes back and forth. But there are definitely some good things in there too, just like there is in any other religion. Sometimes I have a hard time talking about that one a little bit more, because there have been a lot of them that have attacked me for being who I am for a lot of my life. But especially when I decided this was my life purpose and this was my life path and this is what I wanted to do. Because I must be evil and working for the devil. I must be a witch, and I must be casting curses and hexes on people, because people who have been hurting me, the scales have been balanced and they have received karmic lessons so they don't do the same in the future. Because I was there helping, loving, caring, and I've done a lot of it throughout my life. And when it came to time for my downtime, people don't know my history. They don't know what I've been through. They don't know how many people I have given that hand up to. But when it was my time to be down, I deserved a hand up too, and they were given opportunities to step in and give that hand up. Some abused their power. All almost abused their power. Some really did give back in ways that they could for things that I did. And even when I was going into any of those situations, I wasn't going in empty-handed. I was always offering something to the table, and a lot of times it was my healing services. But that's not something tangible, so we can sit there and tell you that you aren't doing anything and you're just taking advantage of us. But I know the truth and don't need to defend it, and so do you. So that's what I got for tonight, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I will see you next time. I hope you have a beautiful night or day, whatever it is, wherever you are when you're watching. Bye-bye, guys.